Hey everybody, welcome to day 4 of the Take Back Your Life Challenge. 40 days. Whoa, almost had it.
Thinking right so that you can live right.
Man, I should have had a little more confidence because that's where I was headed, but I just didn't have the confidence to push through. But that's what we're trying to fix as we do 40 days in the Take Back Your Life book. So we're on day 4, Tortured Genius, right?
Tortured Genius. After today will be 10% more towards taking back our life.
Taking back our life. So what do you think of when you think of genius?
I think of Albert Einstein, just like Pastor Levi said. That's what I think of. I think of intelligence.
Okay. So what about Albert Einstein makes us think he's a genius?
Well, because he was able to unlock mysteries in the universe that nobody else had been able to do at that point.
When I think of genius, I sometimes think of Steve Jobs. So Steve Jobs, through his leadership, reinvented music as we know it today, right? So I think of him as a genius. I think that we could probably all agree that where Albert Einstein and Steve Jobs excel in one area, they probably struggled in other areas.
Absolutely. And not just struggled, but failed miserably.
So Pastor Levi talked about the fact that Albert Einstein would often forget his way home. And on occasion, he was known to forget to wear socks. So is he really a genius? Let's look at it this way. If you went to work with somebody that said, man, last night as I was going home, I forgot where I lived, what would you think?
This person's crazy.
In the same way, if you went to work with somebody that randomly forgot to wear socks, would you think that person is a genius?
No, not at all.
I don't know that I would think of them as not a genius. I will say that there's been several times on Facebook where I've seen friends of mine that get up early in the morning. Mm-hmm. They try to get dressed in the dark. And they'll head out of the house only to discover that they have one black shoe and one navy blue shoe on.
The best one I've seen is one that had a rounded flat and then a pointed flat on. For women, I mean, it's one of those. It wasn't just the colors, it was the complete shape of the shoe.
So let's go to the working definition that Pastor had for today. The dictionary definition of genius is a person who is exceptionally intelligent or creative, either generally or in some particular respect. So, not to sound overly conceited or anything else, I mean, that's really not sort of the point of this, but I would consider myself a genius in what it is that I do for a living. For a couple of reasons. One, I do it all day, every day, and I've done it for a long time. And the Lord's blessed me with an ability to be able to figure things out quickly and to have proficient knowledge in what I need to accomplish my work. I think April's the same way. In her line of work, I would consider her a genius because she's very good at it. She understands all of the ins and outs and the rules and what needs to be done and what has to be done in order to have a successful business. So there are other things about April that I find to be a real struggle.
I don't forget my socks.
No, she doesn't forget her socks.
I do forget my keys, though. So anybody that has that same problem that I have, the Tile, not sponsored, but this is a really good tool. I have this on my keys for my car, my keys for Rockford's truck. I even have them on my bag that I take to work, just because you never know. It might be someplace where I might not be. So
I can remember when she first started getting the tiles, we had enough tiles to tile a bathroom. They were first-gen tiles, the batteries went dead, and that was sort of the end of that for a while. She has gotten some more recently, though.
Yeah, the second generation that now you can replace the battery.
Part of what today's talking about is discovering what that genius is for you, what it is that you are passionate about, what it is that you're good at. It doesn't necessarily have to be your job. In the case for myself and in the case for April, we were able to get work and to work in the fields that we excel in. Some people have hobbies that they're geniuses in. So it doesn't really matter whether it's work or whether it's a hobby, but it's finding what it is that God's given you an ability to do that you excel at. So the flip side of the genius becomes the tortured genius. And so what is that?
In the book, Pastor Levi talks about that the tortured genius is where you are gifted in an area and that you start to have a burden that things could be different, things could be done differently, and you go through that pain of birthing something into the world that wasn't there before. And that is something that I have experienced in my professional life. Like Rockford said, I've done this for a really long time, and I saw a different way for things to be done, and I was able to work towards creating something new. And just like Pastor says in the book, it'll cost you something. It's costing you because you're creating something. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes your family standing behind you. It takes all of the resources that God's given you for that to come to fruition.
He talks about it in terms of pain, like childbirth. So, I mean, birthing a child is painful. So I hear.
Yes. Thank God for modern medicine.
Women compare having birth to a man having a cold. I think that's probably a discussion for a different day.
Yeah, that's a different day.
But birthing something is hard. Making the choice to get involved in a new way, to create something new, to see and be effective with the genius that God's put within us is hard. Pastor talks about it's always harder to do something right than it is to do something easy.
Mm-hmm. It is. And I would say, too, that you've heard it said a lot of times that if you have a burden to do something, that may be God saying, you're the one that is going to take this to the next level, or you're the one that is going to fix this. Maybe it's an injustice. Maybe it is, like we have different ministries that we have been involved in over the years, like Church Under the Bridge. So there was somebody that had a genius for that. They were burdened by it, and they made that into a ministry, and they brought food to the homeless community in Oklahoma City, and they brought the word at the same time, and they went through all of the things that it took to do that. They got the volunteers, they got the groups, they did those things. But there had to be somebody there that was burdened with it and had that genius towards being able to provide that.
Okay, so the genius of Church Under the Bridge is that somebody wanted to do something differently. They wanted to meet a need. And part of the struggle of getting the volunteers, of having the food ready, of going out and doing it, is that it's out of the norm. It's not comfortable. And part of what Pastor talks about in the book is that being comfortable is easy. Taking risks is risky. What was the last one? I know I just looked at it. Anyway, but the point is, new things and callings from God are hard, but we have to be willing to get the thing started. Just one step. He says towards the end of today's reading that success is not the initial goal. Obedience always is.
Yeah.
And so we were talking earlier about the fact that this is sort of like rowing. The rowing machine, when we go work out, I don't like the rowing machine for whatever reason. It just really, I get frustrated by it, but I'm pretty good at it, apparently. The guys that I work out with constantly talk about how they think I'm such a great rower. But the point is, I think the reason I hate it is I've got to get it started. So if you've never used a rower, it's got a chain on some handles that you pull a wheel that's a fan. And once you get going and that fan is spinning, it's pretty easy. But getting that fan to start to spin is the worst part. And I feel like I expend way more energy getting it started than I have to expend to keep it moving. And so that's sort of what this whole situation is like. As you create something new, as you step out in faith, as you try to do something new, getting that momentum is the hard part.
And I think that it was important that whenever we were sitting with our kids, we talked about that the momentum is important, and getting started and making progress, even if you fail, is still going towards what it is that God's calling you to do. It is that where you talked about that success is not the ultimate goal, but obedience is. And so whenever you're doing the rowing machine specifically, you're tall, and so it's easier for you to get it going and then to keep it going. For me, whenever we talked about this, I realized why I absolutely hate the rowing machine, because by the time that I pull it back, it's already losing momentum before I have to pull it back again. So if we're doing a 20-calorie row, which may take me 2 minutes, the entire 2 minutes I'm starting the momentum. And I'm still getting the cardiovascular benefits from it, but it feels like a failure the whole time I'm on it. It's terrible. But you do it again because it got your heart rate up, it did what it needed to do. And it's only 2 minutes.
2 minutes of torture. Thank you to our friends that torture us with working out. So the thing to take away from this, and I think April said it, and I reaffirmed what I said, Pastor says success isn't the immediate goal, but obedience always is. As you're going through this study over the next 36 days, remember that obedience is the immediate goal. If God says to do something, He may challenge you to do it. It might be as simple as getting the door for somebody at work. It might be as simple as talking to that coworker that you've felt like you needed to talk to, but maybe you were just a little bit intimidated by. Maybe it's reaching out to a neighbor. Doesn't really matter what it is, but if God prompts you to do it, then He's given you the gifts and He's given you the things you need for that task. So you are a genius at whatever God's created you to be a genius at. So go forward with some confidence, knowing that if He's calling you to it, He has given you the tools you need to be successful at it.
Because again, from day 2, you're loved, you're called, you're equipped, and you're chosen.
So that's it for day 4 this week. I don't know why I said this week. That's it for day 4, period. And so I hope that you guys are reading the book and doing the questions. Don't forget, read those questions, write it out in your journal. It's important to keep track of these things. You can go back towards the end and look over the progress that you're making as we go through this. So, as well, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Ding the bell. I got in trouble last night because I said tickle the bell.
It just made me laugh.
Anyway, make sure that you ding the bell so that you get notified whenever these videos come out. So we surely appreciate the fact that you all are here. Tell a friend. Share this on Facebook, share it on Twitter, wherever you do your social media. We would love to have some more friends come along and join us on this 40-day journey. If you haven't gotten the book yet, there is a link below that you can click that will take you to Fresh Life Church's page to get it. And then from there, you have several options. So make sure you get the book. Stay with us. We've got 36 more days to go, right? We're a tenth of the way done.
We are.
All right, so just 90% to go. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.